when I was 13 years old. I met the guy who I thought was going to be the guy of my dreams. Then when I was 17, we started getting serious. We got engaged when I was 19, and then we got married when I was 20. And my little brother said to me, he said, "Rob, I think he's cheating on you." And my brother said, "Well, I heard the Tinder sound on his phone." I was like, that's crazy. And for the first time ever, I had never done anything like this, but I had gone onto his phone and I had seen. Over these next 10 videos, I'm going to be sharing with you guys so much of my life that I've never shared on the internet before. That is something that is very personal, and that is the divorces that I have walked through, healing from that, seeing God move in that, coming out of it healthy, healed, and happy, and seeing so many moments and situations and relationships being redeemed. So over these next 10 videos, I'm going to be sharing with you all of these things. I put out a video years ago and it was called "I Was Married and He Cheated." Thousands and thousands of comments underneath it from women just saying, "This is what I've experienced," or "This gives me hope," or "How did I miss this? What's next?" All of these types of things. So I want to sit down as somebody who is now married for the second time. I'm in my 30s. I've completely rebuilt my life. And I'm sitting here speaking from a place of somebody who's healthy and happy and healed. I have never shared my full story. I just put out the red flags, but I didn't kind of go into the story. But I really think at the end of the day, it's like we are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And really what that means is that our story, especially when we walk through it, it gives us a place of authority to actually begin to speak from. So I'm going to get into my story, and in future episodes we will be getting into the red flags and into all the different coping mechanisms and to moving on and all of those things. But today we are starting with my testimony, which starts way back on the other side of the world. I was living in Australia. I grew up there my whole life, and I ended up moving to California when I was 13 years old. And that is where I met the guy who I thought was going to be the guy of my dreams. What that actually meant was he was a guy with screaming blue eyes. He was a couple years older than me. And we ended up like kind of becoming friends on the internet when I moved back to Australia. Each other's top MySpace friends, you know the thing. Then when I was 17, we started getting serious. We got engaged when I was 19, and then we got married when I was 20. At the time, I was in Australia and I was doing a double degree. I was doing full-time placement, literally doing clinical dentistry, seeing patients. The thing that made it really complicated was that as obviously we were married, he came over to Australia to study. He couldn't actually work legally because he wasn't technically an Australian citizen. He was just a temporary resident. So this put a really big stress on us financially. And at the end of the day, when you marry someone, like you become one, right? So for me, it's like, this is my person. I would do anything for that person. And I poured my life savings into paying for his education, which ended up being about $20,000 a semester, from working 3 different jobs to, you know, God providing. We actually made it happen, which is, it's crazy. And I think at that point, it was really a stressful season. I don't think I've ever worked more and slept less. And at this point in my life, this is really where things started to go awry. I think we had been married at least for a couple of years at this point. I think there's something to be said about having, you know, free time. You're in a different country, and he got really into the gym and really into gym culture. You know, I hadn't shared a lot of these parts because I think I was still like protective of him and honoring this vow and this covenant that I had made. But I do think that this is an important part to share because I think a lot of people walk through this, right? So if you've ever been around or involved anybody who's been using steroids, you will know that there are a lot of side effects emotionally, physically. Obviously there's changes sexually, like in libido, desire, all of those things. Emotions is a major one, right? Like you are functioning differently because you have a different level of hormone running through your blood. So I was aware of it, and it became an issue. It became a really big issue when I was working 3 jobs, and this is something that he leaned into. Okay, you need to not do this. We are already nickel and diming everything. I'm working 3 jobs to pay for your school, and you know, you're doing this. It's not good. And it started to affect us. And at this point, I graduated from my degree, and then I moved 2.5-3 hours away back to my hometown to do dentistry. My dad is my mentor, and he was still studying, so we ended up having to go into this place of doing long distance, which was really hard because at this point now I'm like, I've graduated, I'm obviously this person who is now the breadwinner, and it just puts a weird dynamic on the relationship. And on top of that, like now we're just seeing each other less, and there's this issue with the steroids going on, and it's almost like this little wedge was kind of placed in the marriage. Of course, like on the other hand, like I'm just acting like it's all normal. I'm like throwing myself into work, completely oblivious to any red flags, very naive. You know, this is the guy that I married. Like in my mind, I'm like, okay, like this is just a season, like we're gonna work through it. I grew up Christian, and I think in Christian culture, a lot of people get married really young because they're like, all right, I'm gonna honor you, God, like we're gonna do this the right way and walk in purity and all of the things. So to me, like that was like very normal that we got married at 20, and one of like 2 people I'd kissed in my whole life. And it was something I took like really seriously, and I didn't know how to deal with this level of complication. It's just, you know, life as you grow up, there's a lot of complications and all of these things, and we were learning to navigate that. And at this point, he ended up graduating because, again, the situation with the residency, he couldn't get a job close, so he ended up going and getting a job in the mines. If you know much about mine culture, same thing. It's like very rough and tough. It's like out there, very rural Australia. The rosters are brutal. It's called FIFO, fly in, fly out. You go and stay in just like a different culture. For somebody who had never had an experience that, I think it was probably a rude, hard awakening for him. And this is really where like things went from like 0 to 100 really quickly. Basically what happened was his roster was like 3 weeks on and then less than a week off because of travel and all the things. And obviously I had taken over the dental practice. I was scaling this practice, and my dad and my little brother ended up picking him up from the airport. And my little brother said to me, he said, Rob, I think he's cheating on you. Like at this point, we've been together for 7 years. We've been married for 5 years nearly. I was like, why are you saying that? I was so defensive and so protective of him. And my brother said, well, I heard the Tinder sound on his phone. I was like, that's crazy. And then later that night we came home, and for the first time ever, I had never done anything like this, but I had gone onto his phone and I had seen that there was multiple dating apps, and not only that, there was other bank accounts, like other banks that wasn't our bank. And I think I was just in shock, and I ended up waking him up, which was probably one of the worst things that I could have done. And I was like, are you cheating on me? And this was where things just went like from bad to worse. I had zero idea that anything was wrong, like in that way. Like I knew things were rough, and I knew there was like a, you know, a change in his personality. A big part of me was like, the libido will come back, the connection will come back. We're doing long distance forever, where in this season where we're like building, and it was just really confusing. And I think he at first was just so angry, and I don't think I've ever been as scared in my life as I had been in that moment. At this point I went into shock and into panic, and I had never dealt with anything like this before. This is what the person who knows me and who loves me, my best friend, would do to me. Like what would anyone else do? This was like a really multifaceted layer of, honestly, of grief. You have the layer of like, you're trying to process it within yourself, right? And then you're like, what did I do? And then obviously you've got the grief of like dealing with this person. And that was so messy, especially being that we weren't together, right? He had gone back to the mines, and there was this layer of, first it was denial, then to admit it, and then to deny again, layers of anger. Didn't know what to do, right? And then I've got my family over here not knowing how to act, and my friends not knowing how to act. People don't know how to cope when something like this happens. Sometimes there's no level of words to speak over somebody or to even encourage somebody because you haven't walked through it. So I felt so alone. And I think the hardest thing in all of that was that I was really determined to still be able to work it out, and he didn't want to work it out. Like this was something like he straight up was like, we're not going to counseling, we're not doing this. That really was one of those moments where it adds insult to injury, and I was just so humiliated. I was so alone, and I was so fearful. And at that point I was just so angry at God. I honored you, I loved you, like I did all of these things the right way, and you let this happen to me. You let this happen. Yeah, we ended up filing for a divorce. Literally less than 6 months after the divorce went through, he was remarried to the girl that he had the affair with. It was the girl from the gym. Basically, I find out in January, the end of January, about the affair. We end up getting a divorce by October. And then within that 6 months after, he had gone and remarried. And I think there's like such a degree of just like, it happened so quickly and I was so young. It's like this was everything I had ever known, and then being tied to the degree that in my head I'm like, this was a man who like loved God and all of these things. There was just like so much confusion, and at that point I felt like everything was falling apart. So I ended up stepping away from dentistry. I was like, I'm just gonna travel. Like, I'm just gonna travel for a while and kind of see what happens and all of that. And I ended up going to Europe for a couple of months. And we'll get into this later in future videos about coping mechanisms and all those things, but I basically did everything wrong in the way of that. You know, some people, they like to numb out the pain. They'll get drunk, they'll get lit, they'll get high so they don't feel it. And for me, I didn't necessarily do that as much as I just kept so busy. I threw myself into travel, into people. And I remember someone said to me, sometimes you just have to pretend it's okay until it actually is. And as much as that is in some way good advice, like it's like fake it till you make it, you also need to still heal it and feel it. And I think now looking back, there's so many things that I would do differently, and we'll get into that later. But in all of that, I ended up traveling, I ended up in the US, I ended up getting into another very serious relationship after that, and we will speak about that in other episodes. The point of this series is to speak to the girl that is in the storm, the girl that is walking through something that feels like it will never be okay, I can never trust again, all men are like this, or I'm not enough, or I will never be enough. Like, I want to shout all of those lies down. I want to share with you that there is a way for God to come in and to renew your heart and to just redeem situations, redeem time, to give you back the years that the locust took. And for years, I didn't even know what that meant, you know, and now I can sit from a place that I'm sitting in what I prayed for. And I don't think if I had walked through any of that, that this would be something that I could appreciate as much as I do. And I take this very seriously, and I did a lot wrong along the way. So I hope that in sharing my story, that if you watch this, that you're encouraged, that there is hope on the horizon, that this won't be forever, and that you definitely aren't alone in this.